Hey, what's up, everybody? You know, I thought I'd get something off my chest, something that I've been wanting to get off my chest for quite some time. You see, well, you can probably read the title there, and it's basically, is the IrateGamer a ripoff of the AVGN? Well, I think we should look at it like this. In my honest opinion, and I'm sure some may agree out there, I don't think Chris Brown's, the IrateGamer, is a ripoff of AVGN. It's just a coincidence they both kind of review at times the same games. Now, a lot of people have their opinions to Chris Bones being a ripoff, and if they feel that way, fine. You know, it's their opinion. They can feel that way. But to me, I don't think Chris is. It's kind of like saying that the happy console gamer, or the happy console gamer, or the guy that does classic game room and all that. It's like saying they're a ripoff of AGN, but they're not. The truth is, yes, there are some similarities, but the thing is, the biggest difference between the two is although James, as the angry video game nerd, does mostly nostalgic reviews of games of the NES, the Genesis, the PlayStation 1, and a few others. Chris Bros does the same thing, but he also adds in newer reviews. He's even got a little sideshow called IrateGamer Neo. In other words, where he reviews the more newer games at times, and if not, sometimes the more newer hardware. That is one of the biggest differences. That's one of the biggest differences, is the fact that Chris is sort of a mixture of old and new. Now, one of the differences too is that he actually, between Chris and James, is Chris actually sometimes has a plot to his that goes along with his reviews. James, on the other hand, has plots too. He has story driven and everything, but his biggest deal is he only does the nostalgic reviews. Sometimes he'll incorporate references to new stuff and like the Wii and the Xbox 360 and stuff like that. But most of the other time, he's doing other things as well. Well, just like Chris. You see, the biggest difference though between the two is Chris does a different series of videos, just like James does. For example, when James is not being the nerd, sometimes he'll do board James, or sometimes he'll do a review of a cartoon or a movie. Heck, he'll even sit down and do a series on his DVD collection or his VHS collection, or he'll go over to Mike Mattel's and do a review, do a showcasing of his DVD collection. Or he'll even take time out of his own life, if you will, take time out of his own schedule, if you will, and talk about the different video formats that have come out throughout the years. The difference between him and Chris, the big difference, ladies and gentlemen, is that Chris does side videos as well, but he also does them to the point that they are video game related. For example, Chris has a sideshow called I Rate the 80s. Basically, he looks back on a lot of 80s stuff that we grew up on, like all the merchandise and stuff, like Ninja Turtle cereal, the Muscle Men, and known as the Muscle Men, basically the Kirikuman, or whatever they call them, the Mad Balls, He-Man, stuff like that. He looks back at all of those and rates them as he looks at them right now. And you see, that's the biggest difference we got to look at, folks, is that even though we could say the similarities, there is not. There is no similarities. I mean, sure, sometimes their presentations when they do the reviews very similar. They have interactions with different characters. But you know what? Like I said, sometimes it's just a coincidence, but it's also a difference. There's also a big difference. And we gotta look at that way. We gotta look at it, the fact that the big differences between the two. I mean, the fact that, like I said, James, as the angry video game nerd, does mostly nostalgic game reviews, like, Sega games, Nintendo games, TurboGrafx games, PS1 games, and even Dreamcast games. We gotta look at that. He even does reviews on nostalgic consoles, like the Sega CD, the Odyssey, which Chris also did, ironically, I will admit that. Like I said, the Odyssey. He also, talked about the Sega 32X. He's briefly mentioned the top loader, the TurboGrafx CD, the TurboGrafx 16 console, as well as the the CD attachment, the Jaguar. He's talked about the Saturn. He's talked about 3DO. He's talked about CDI. So he's done a lot more console-related reviews along with the game reviews he does with them. And Chris, again, like I said, has done the same thing at times. He's reviewed the Odyssey, but he's also reviewed some things that James hasn't, like the NES Retro Mini. So even though there are similarities, as many of you point out, there is a big difference. So the thing is, here's my thing. I don't think, honestly, my opinion, I don't think we should be comparing anything. Alright? I don't think we should be saying that, joking around, like let's say Doug Walker did in one of his earlier reviews as a nostalgia critic, where he says, angry video game nerd has become the irate gamer. I don't think we need to be joking around like that, because the truth is, neither one are the same. There's similarities and sometimes coincidences, but the thing is, it's all different. There's just big differences there, folks. Big differences, and I think you know that. So now, first of all, I'm not saying you need to change your opinion on either one of them. You don't need to change your opinion. I'm just saying, in all honesty, we don't need to keep, as fans, we should just be happy that we got two very well-known video game reviewers out there that take time out of their own lives, take time out of their own schedules to do these reviews, whether they get paid for them or not. We should be thankful for that. We shouldn't be comparing and say this guy's a ripoff, that guy's a ripoff, or anything like that. We should just be thankful and grateful. Because, hey, if it weren't for them, you wouldn't be seeing any of these other video game reviewing shows or videos that are being broadcast out there. You wouldn't be seeing that. You wouldn't be seeing someone like Classic Game Room at times. You wouldn't be seeing guys like the Happy Console Gamer or RetroWare TV or Retro Replay. You wouldn't be seeing any of that. You wouldn't be seeing someone like the Gaming Historian. You get what I'm saying? Get what I'm saying, folks? We shouldn't be, just my opinion, we shouldn't go out and compare the two and say one's a ripoff, one's just a blatant ripoff of another. Because the fact is, neither one are ripoffs. It's just coincidence sometimes that they do the reviews on the same things, if not have similar outcomes. Now the one thing that we have to look at as well is both, just like us as average people that do reviews every now and then on movies and video games and comics, what we need to look at as well is they get picked on too by people that just want to be jerks. There's somebody that, has a parody channel on the Irate Gamer. There's someone that has a parody channel on James as the Angry Video Game Nerd. Heck, there's even somebody out there, a few people that do videos that make fun of nostalgia critic Doug Walker. Heck, even I've had somebody do a few videos on me. But you see me complaining about it? No. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, as much as we like to complain and say there's comparisons and one's a ripoff and all that, we gotta realize, like I've said, I know I sound like a broken record right now, but like I said, there may be similarities It may be coincidental that they do the same reviews at times on the same games, or do reviews on similar games, and sometimes have similar outcomes, but the truth is, they're completely different. They have a completely different style to not just their game reviews at times, but also to the other videos they do. But we also got to realize that just like us at times, when we like to do our reviews, they too get picked on and made fun of by people that are just jerks. Period. You know, so I'm just saying this right now. We shouldn't go out of our way and say one's a rip-off from another, because the truth is both, like I said, are taking time out of the schedule, taking time out of their lives to do this. I mean, look at James. He's taking time out of his life, out of his schedule, to make the AVGN movie. That's what he's doing. You think honestly he wants to take time out of his schedule to do that when he could be doing other things? Maybe, maybe not. But the truth is we should be grateful. We should be thankful and grateful that these two can take time out of the schedule and do these reviews and inspire people like us to do our own reviews. True, some of our reviews, either it's game or movie or comics, or even toys or whatever, you know, they may not be up to par to some of their reviews that they do, you know, with the graphics and the, you know, and the special effects and all that. It may not be up to par, but at least they're inspiring us to do these kind of reviews and get them out of the way. So what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, again, like I say, is be thankful and grateful to doing this. We shouldn't go out and say, this one's a rip-off of another. Besides, who knows? Who knows? Maybe one day the IrateGamer, Chris Brones, and James Wolf, the Angry Video Game Nerd, who knows? Maybe one day they might collab together. They might work together. But again, we never know. They might do a review together, and that would be something. But again, we don't know. I mean, again, to say IrateGamer is a ripoff of Angry Video Game Nerd is like saying Angry Joe is a ripoff of the Angry Video Game Nerd. And he's not. You get what I'm saying, folks? Just because people do similar reviews doesn't mean they're ripping off that person. And as you can probably tell, both are very different. So, I thought I'd just get that off my chest. Tell me what you guys think. Do some of you agree with me? If you do, go ahead and comment, respond if you want to through video. If not, that's fine. If you still believe and want to feel that Chris is a ripoff of James and so what, and back and forth, and vice versa, then hey, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But to me, I don't think neither man or neither person is a ripoff of the other. And that's all I'm going to say. Comment down below, tell me what you think, and I'll talk to y'all later.